Sean Payton, the player, you had a one-day tryout with the Chiefs in 1987, 3 weeks with Chicago of the Arena League.
Correct.
A whole month with the Ottawa Rough Riders.
That's right.
3 weeks with the Bears during the '87 strike. If you were going to fill out a scouting report on Sean Payton as a player, what would that scouting report say?
Oh, undersized, average arm, fairly smart. We need better.
Sean Payton threw for over 10,000 yards at Eastern Illinois University. But even though the name Payton looked pretty natural on the back of a Bears jersey, this Payton's place would not be as a player.
My dream was to play, but I knew in that first year that I was going to want to get into coaching. And the very last game I played in was an interception. The last pass, it was an interception to my left. I don't know who it was that picked it off, but it was a Saint defender. He took a knee, and that was it for my career. And I knew it was time to coach.
In that same replacement game, Payton took this hit, though he probably doesn't remember it. Another good reason to get into coaching. He spent 9 years as a college assistant before joining the Eagles in 1997. There, he took orders from head coach Ray Rhodes.
Hey, on the sideline of Joe, you and James. Go get all of them. Go get our executives, slap them over there out of the way. Get them out of the way.
And as quarterbacks coach, he worked with offensive coordinator John Gruden.
He was the play caller upstairs. I was on the field with the quarterback headset wireless system. So, he'd give you a play, halfback, far west, right slot, wide left, 300 jet, halfback hitch with spacing. Hurry up. And, you're sitting down there like Barney Fife trying to get the play in. And maybe he didn't like how you gave it to him. It didn't sound right.
Eventually, Payton began calling his own plays.
I left Y fly, 32 swing.
So if I go bunch Y opposite 5, all right, he's got the
As the Giants' offensive coordinator in 2000, he helped resurrect Kerry Collins' career and lead the Giants to the Super Bowl.
Hey, great call down there, man. Quick and forward, the great call right there. Nice job.
We're going to run and play faster this next quarter and a half. We're going to score 21 points in the next quarter and a half. We're going to score 21 points.
In the 2000 NFC Championship game, the Giants scored 41 points.
Collins' 5th touchdown of the game.
Payton was in a play-calling zone. But less than 2 years later, with New York's offense struggling, he was stripped of his play-calling duties by head coach Jim Fossil. That must have been devastating to you. To your self-confidence. I mean, this is what you do well, and all of a sudden, here's somebody saying, "Hey, Sean,
It was certainly one of those times in your career where you look at, how are you going to handle this? Fortunately, after that season, the phone call came from Parcells, and I'd never met him before. He said, "Hey, here's the job. How much you want to make? And I'll meet you at Republic Airport in Long Island Friday, and we're going to Dallas."
When you were calling plays for Bill, he has that expression I've heard him use, "Don't get the virus." What does he mean when he was telling you that?
I was brought up with John Gruden at Philadelphia in that West Coast system. Bill would kid me about too many plays, and the virus was that flu-like symptom of wanting a lot of offense and not being able to practice at all. And so as I came in, I was kind of that outsider. I was the half-Irish, half-Italian guy in the mob, so I really could never be a made guy. I could only go so far, and you were a West Coast guy, you stop here. Bill on game day is something now. I mean, you've got to go in with thick skin and not afraid to answer, and maybe the answer isn't what he wants to hear, but he wants your opinion.
What do you got? Anything? I don't need to talk about it on the plane. What do you need to get started? Give me a couple ideas. I don't need him on the bus after the game.
I'm with you.
Okay?
Run it and move him. Toss 339 boot. Run it.
But, I mean, there's times where, you'll make a call and it'll be, what are you calling that for? And you'll get challenged, and I think it's important that you have a conviction.
No, I want to try to throw a touchdown pass.
That's why I'm talking. Spread right, quick 52, Dallas.
And that you have thick skin. If you don't, it's tough.
Going to New Orleans, to me, that is a fascinating decision that you made, to go to a team that never won anything in a disaster area. How did you come to that decision?
When talking to my wife about it at that time, we had just built a brand new house in Dallas. I mean, just finished a new one. And the idea, as we drive the car with the Paytons in it heading to New Orleans and everyone else is going the other way, and, we're going to look for homes, was sometimes overwhelming, and yet, it just felt right. I remember flying back from the interview with Mickey and Tom Benson and just feeling like, boy, what an impact we can make here beyond just football.
I could tell this guy had a plan, from the beginning. I know he had opportunities to be a head coach before this, but he was just waiting for that right situation. Obviously, he's an incredible offensive mind.
Pay attention to your personnel, Drew. 11, I want to go far right, ride 35 weak, kill 394 Venus.
But I think what he brings to the table is just his attitude.
Get over here. What are you doing? What are you doing?
Listen to the whistle right there, 93.
You got him down. You think you're worth 15 yards? No, you're not.
I think you have to be demanding, and confronting players is a good thing. And Bill taught me that. He was real good about confronting the seventh-round pick all the way to your high-priced quarterback or linebacker. And he wasn't afraid of confrontation at all. In fact, he probably preferred it.
You're too nice to these guys. Huh? What are you nice? What do you get them? What are you guys doing in the meetings? Toasting marshmallows? What are we doing?
It's my fault.
No, it isn't your fault. It's a whole group deal here. Not your fault. It's not his fault. Not his fault. His or his.
And I've found where that's helped me some in my first year of directly confronting problems and not trying to move on and kind of erase them away.
Hey, you got to compete out here now. You're just conceding some throws. I'm watching the whole time, the whole drive. Hey, the whole drive, I'm watching it, Joe. You tell me I'm wrong.
He made everyone in that organization feel like they had to prove it to him that they belong there and that they could help us win.
I want to see you make a play. You're conceding throws out there right in front of you. That's what I saw. So start competing.
If you could do that, then you were going to stick around. If you couldn't, then you were out.
Let's go, let's go.
In 2006, New Orleans had 27 new players. But Payton changed much more than just the Saints roster. As a head coach now, do you ever sense that you're trying to micromanage things now because you were an assistant and there's so many things that you understand that you, like when we had you mic'd, you spent about 5 or 6 minutes in the pregame talking about the music.
It drove me nuts. Hey, who's in charge of this music? Hollis, you picked this stuff out?
No, I didn't pick this stuff out.
We got to do something about this music. It was the 70s. The guy in charge of the music was his error. And we're walking around out there, and I'm thinking to myself, who put this on? Well, I know who put it on. He's not going to be in charge of the music next week. It's just one aspect. It might be the music. It might be, how the locker room layout was. What's the backdrop for the post-game press conference? I don't like the way that looks. So, yeah, I want to change all that.
Going through last season, could you see beyond this is just more than just a turnaround of a team? This is a story that's going to be told for the next 50 years.
I remember in the summertime, it was July, and I remember going to a Kenny Chesney concert in New Orleans. This fan came up to me and he said, "Coach, I just want you to know I just bought 4 season tickets. I'm living still in my trailer. I don't have a job yet. I don't know how I'm going to pay for these tickets, but we can't wait to see you guys play."
Payton wasn't about to let those people down. And during training camp, he let a New Orleans native speak to his team about the importance of the 2006 season.
As hard a camp as we were having, I wanted to have 2 or 3 motivational speakers. Avery Johnson, he was the perfect fit because he's someone that's from the city. He just finished taking his team to the NBA championship round against the Miami Heat. And he came in and was outstanding that night.
I was just trying to think about a message that I thought would be good for their team in that year, especially post-hurricane. And a lot of those guys had some crossroads in their careers. Cross time for Breeze. You didn't know whether the shoulder was going to hold up. Reggie Bush, you didn't know what he was going to do in the NFL. My message was about season the second. Games are made up of halves. Halves are made up of quarters. Quarters are made up of seconds and minutes. And you got to seize every second.
As the seconds counted down, Sean Payton and the fans of New Orleans made a memorable first impression on each other.
It was the first game back in the Dome. It had been rebuilt. It was Monday Night Football, prime time. They had U2. I mean, it was like a Super Bowl. It was an amazing scene there. The noise level and the emotions that went into that stadium being opened again after everything that had gone on.
Bush is lined up to the right as a wide receiver.
And yet it was only going to be special if we won it.
He gives it to Devery Henderson. Reverse, and Henderson's to the goal line, and he is in! Razzle dazzle, baby!
It's an outstanding job by Sean Payton and his offensive staff.
What a moment! Just listen to this crowd.
This game ball is going to the city of New Orleans, and I can't think of anybody that this city wouldn't be more proud to receive this game ball than Avery Johnson for the rest of his life. Coach Johnson.
All right, baby. Awesome. Remember, seize every second of this season.
It didn't take much time for the Saints to become the surprise story of 2006. Newcomers like Drew Brees, Marcus Colston, and Reggie Bush raised the talent level. Sean Payton raised the expectations.
I need a long drive for some points. Ice this game. Now we can do it in here. You guys got them right at the edge of the diving board. Push them off.
Payton's enthusiasm was contagious, and it spread like a virus. In December, Payton returned to Dallas, and the play-calling wizard one-upped his mentor. The Saints' 25-point win was their most lopsided of the season. They had gone from 3 wins to the NFC Championship game. The success and the feelings that came with it were unexpected.
Success took on a whole new thing that I hadn't been exposed to as a coach. And nothing that you got into coaching for, because it became more than just the winning and more than just the Saints. It became the region, it became the city. It became something, I think, for them to look forward to do on the weekends and then to talk about on Monday and Tuesday. And as that momentum continued to gain strength, it happened almost on a weekly basis. It was amazing the impact it had.
They seized every second and fought for every inch.
He's down to the goal line, and it's in!
Yes!
Deuce
Now, New Orleans is Payton's place.